那么多人，是搞那样，你们晓不晓得？
Do you know what all these people behind me are doing? This is exactly how it is in Guizhou. People love to host various banquets, but it can be incredibly frustrating. Do you know? This situation really puts people in a dilemma. As a neighbor, if you don't attend, it feels inappropriate. But if you do, it's uncomfortable. You're stuck in a tough spot. Personally, I can only choose to help out without giving monetary gifts, because I truly cannot afford to give so much money anymore. Let me tell you, as long as you don't host unnecessary banquets at home, and as long as you help your neighbors when they have events without giving monetary gifts, they won't blame you for it. After all, who can afford to give money all the time? My goodness, this kind of thing really drives people crazy. It's utterly exhausting and frustrating.
戏真的是烦死了，动不动儿子去西湖办一桌。
I don't know who in China's rural areas invented the idea of hosting banquets for every occasion. But sometimes it's really infuriating. There are all sorts of reasons to host a banquet. For example, a son getting married requires a banquet. When the daughter-in-law gets pregnant, another banquet. When a grandchild is born, another banquet. If there's one child, one banquet, 2 children, 2 banquets, and if they have 3 children, 3 banquets. Some people even look for excuses to host banquets, such as celebrating an elder's birthday. Even if they're only in their 50s or 60s, they'll insist on pretending they're 70 or 80 just to throw a big party. What's even more outrageous is that some people can use a sow giving birth as an excuse to host a banquet. Isn't that infuriating? Now, they can host as many banquets as they want, it's their business. I'll just go and eat and I won't give any money. Everyone should do the same, just go empty-handed, eat and take leftovers home. The problem is every time they demand a gift of money. If you give too little, the host will be unhappy. Since you're going to these banquets, let me share some advice. Never sit at the same table with rural women. I've learned my lesson a few times and am now too scared to try again. Why? Because at rural banquets you need to master a few skills to eat properly. First, your chopstick skills must be fast, precise, and ruthless. Otherwise, you won't stand a chance against the others. Second, you need to have a thick skin, the thicker the better. Otherwise, you're just there to make up the numbers and you won't get to eat much because the dishes will all be snatched away. Some women are particularly good at packing up food. They'll dump entire bowls of dishes into bags they brought with them, using all sorts of excuses like my family has bad teeth, so they can't eat hard food, my son loves these chicken feet, or I have cats and dogs at home and I'm too lazy to cook so I'll just take some food back. It sounds reasonable, but in reality they're stuffing their own bags. They might even ask, "Hey brother, are you done with this?" How do we men respond to that? We can't exactly say, "I haven't even tried it yet so don't pack it away." That would be too awkward. Some people even stuff themselves to the brim and still pack food to take home. They might have only gifted 100 yuan or 200 yuan as a present, but they end up eating back, packing up leftovers and making a profit. Honestly, these outdated customs from the older generation should have been changed a long time ago. Why should there be so many banquets among relatives? On the surface, it's maintaining family ties, but in reality it's just a disguised form of fundraising. If a family hosts several banquets a year, they might just break even. But if a family doesn't host banquets for years, they'll only end up losing money by constantly giving gifts to others. The most frustrating part is that it doesn't matter how much you've gifted in the past. The banquet host only cares about how much you give the last time. They keep detailed records of everything. If you gave generously before but gave less later, then when it's your turn to host a banquet, they might return the favor with a smaller gift. In the end, it's just not worth it. To me, this rural custom seriously needs reform. Whether it's a wedding, an elder's birthday, or a child getting into college, we could just casually prepare a few dishes, gather together to eat, drink, and chat. No gifts, no money involved, just to strengthen family bonds. That way, it's warm and friendly, without putting financial strain on anyone's family. Don't you agree?
才回家的20来天，干人情都干完不快乐。
I just returned to my hometown for over 20 days, and I've already spent nearly 10,000 yuan on gifts for social obligations. My God, even if I had a money printing machine, I couldn't keep up with this pace of spending. This isn't giving gifts, it's being completely drained. I can't afford to attend these banquets anymore. One after another, you come up with all kinds of ridiculous excuses to hold banquets. When the village doesn't allow them, you move to hotels. When the village bans it, you find a way to host it in neighboring villages. No matter what, you're determined to find reasons to collect money. Don't you have any shame? Starting today, I swear, if anyone organizes such meaningless banquets again, don't send me messages or call me to inform me. Unless it's a genuine wedding or funeral banquet. For all other meaningless banquets, if I receive any notifications and am asked to give red envelopes, I'll block you without hesitation. I really can't take it anymore. To those who love organizing these pointless banquets, I urge you to stop immediately. Stop exploiting others. This trend not only ruins social norms but also corrupts people's hearts. I'm so furious I could curse. This group of people is like a bunch of lunatics, driving normal people insane.
有人吐槽我们贵州农村的酒席多，感觉好浪费钱。
Some people complain that we have too many banquets in rural Guizhou, saying it's a waste of money. Today we have a banquet to attend, and tomorrow there's another one. It feels like our lives revolve around banquets. Honestly, I've wanted to share my thoughts on this, but I've held back, worrying about being criticized. However, keeping it to myself makes me feel stifled, so I've decided to express my personal opinion. Please note, this is just my understanding. In my view, the reason we have so many banquets is mainly that they are concentrated during certain periods, like the Chinese New Year, Valentine's Day, National Day, or Labor Day holidays. It's during these times that banquets seem particularly frequent. Another key point is that the situation here in Guizhou might differ from other places. I'm not sure about the customs elsewhere, but here in Guizhou, we have a specific tradition. The monetary gift is usually quite small. For ordinary families, it used to be 50 yuan. Now, it's typically 100 yuan for neighbors. If the relationship is a bit closer, it's just 200 yuan or 300 yuan, which isn't much of a burden. What's more, you should consider this. In rural Guizhou, especially for weddings, the groom's family typically hosts a banquet for 3 days, and the bride's family for 2 days. In this case, your entire family can attend the banquets. For instance, if someone in the village gets married and I give 100 yuan as a gift, my family can attend the groom's banquet for 3 days. If you think about it, does it really cost that much? Moreover, fewer people are hosting banquets nowadays. It's not as exaggerated as some make it out to be. So, I think there's no need to have biases against rural areas in Guizhou. Some things people say are simply not true and don't reflect reality. Seriously, who would host banquets all year round? Wouldn't that be ridiculous? Don't you agree?
随着这个政策的放开，我感觉这个农村办酒席的人是越来越多了。
With the implementation of the national three-child policy, I've noticed a significant increase in the number of banquets being held in rural areas. Hello everyone. This morning, my mom went to a banquet. Since I was left alone at home with 2 kids, my shoulders are now so sore that I can barely lift them. These 2 little ones are so energetic that no matter how I try to coax them, they just won't sleep. Thank goodness for the baby carrier, otherwise, I really wouldn't know what to do. In recent days, there have been so many banquets in our rural area that it's hard to keep up. Today's banquet was particularly lively, with wedding banquets and housewarming banquets one after another. My mom started eating in the morning and won't finish until the afternoon. Since the 3-child policy was introduced, I've felt that banquets in rural areas have become increasingly frequent. On one hand, the policy has provided people with a new reason to celebrate having more children. On the other hand, some take the opportunity to host banquets for moving, buying a new car, building a new house, or getting married, turning it into a grand celebration. One phenomenon that left a deep impression on me is that some people, despite not being financially well off, still insist on hosting banquets. For example, some people have just paid the down payment on a house, and the house itself is still under construction as they've bought it off-plan. It won't be ready until next year or the year after, but they're already eager to host a banquet. Some even hope to use the banquet as a way to collect cash gifts and ease their financial burden. Don't you think this is a bit hard to understand? I find it somewhat amusing myself. Even more extreme is a relative of ours who has hosted 3 banquets within 2 years. Because of the frequent banquets, they were criticized by other relatives. Those who aren't particularly close have started complaining, saying, hosting banquets 3 times in 2 years, how can anyone keep up? Each time, we have to give 1,000 or 2,000 yuan as a gift. By the end of the year, all the money we've earned goes to attending your banquets. How are we supposed to live? But if you don't attend, you risk offending them. If you do, your wallet really suffers. Although hosting banquets is a tradition, it can sometimes feel burdensome. It brings both joy and pressure. I wonder if everyone can relate to this situation? Today, let's take a look at life in a rural area of Shaanxi, where spending 1,000 renminbi in a single day on banquets reveals the immense social pressure of gift money. The village is filled with the sound of firecrackers, and there are banquets to attend almost every day. The village dogs might be the healthiest and most health-conscious members around. During the Chinese New Year period, the number of banquets held in the village is beyond count. In fact, many families' male heads only symbolically drop off the gift money and don't even have time to sit down for a meal. This morning, there were 3 families in our village hosting banquets, making it almost overwhelming to keep up. I finished putting on my makeup a little past 8 o'clock. The morning banquet location wasn't far from home, so I walked there directly. Along the way, my dad led the way, and we used some snow to clean the mud off our shoes. Before formally entering the venue, I got to experience the highest hospitality of Shaanxi banquets, including a cup of local brown sugar ginger tea to warm up. My dad was in a rush, afraid of missing breakfast, but when we arrived, the chefs had just started the fire. This turned out to be a perfect opportunity for me to learn a few tricks. The kitchen was bustling with activity, surrounded by people watching the head chef, and I felt a bit nervous myself. Indeed, being a head chef at a banquet is no easy task. Not only do you need to work swiftly, but you must also stay calm under pressure. The stir-fried pork intestines with dried tofu looked incredibly appetizing. As firecrackers went off everywhere, I hid indoors, and the dishes weren't served until after 9 o'clock. It had been a while since I'd had dishes like chicken stewed with mushrooms, stir-fried pork intestines with dried tofu, enoki mushroom and white fungus soup, sweet potato balls, braised pork with preserved vegetables, fried shrimp, shredded pork with green peppers, and finally, a dish of steamed fish for prosperity. Among all these dishes, the chicken stewed with mushrooms became my favorite. The meal ended with a drink that elders and children alike often enjoy, leaving me fully satisfied. Breakfast cost us 400 renminbi in gift money, and as always, we paid by scanning a QR code. After a short rest at home, I rushed to another family's banquet location for lunch. This time, it was farther away, so I had to ride a bike there. It felt like my entire day was either spent eating banquets or on the way to them. I really should weigh myself someday to see if I've gained a lot. The lunch banquet was held in a small villa in the forest, where the air was incredibly fresh. Chefs in our village are quite a rare resource, and it seems being a banquet chef has become a promising career. The banquet began, with 5 tables in total. The dishes were just as lavish: stewed tea tree mushrooms, sauerkraut with beef, chicken stewed with mushrooms, braised fish, and beef stewed with radish. The braised pork with preserved vegetables this time had skin so soft and tender that it melted in your mouth without feeling greasy. During the meal, my dad kept rushing to serve me food, piling my bowl high with mushroom and meat stew, which was simply irresistible. Someday, I must go to the mountains myself to gather mushrooms and try making it on my own. The meal ended with a cup of coconut juice. After lunch, we settled the gift money, which cost another 300 renminbi. In the afternoon, after a short stop, we visited my aunt's house on the way. Every time we visit her, she insists on giving us something to take home. This time, it was some oranges from a relative and homemade farm products. We had planned to dig for winter bamboo shoots with my uncle, but as the sky darkened and rain seemed imminent, we decided to head to the next family's evening banquet instead. I've long been accustomed to this fast-paced banquet lifestyle. At every banquet, you can always see many elders and children who seem to truly enjoy the lively atmosphere. At these rural banquets, the quality of the food or the amount of gift money doesn't matter much. What people really seek is the joy of a vibrant social gathering. A day spent attending banquets and spending 1,000 renminbi in gift money ended amidst the festive noises.
In rural China, hosting banquets has become an inseparable part of daily life. Having a baby requires a banquet. A baby's 1-month celebration requires another. And even the baby's 100-day milestone needs yet another banquet. Going to college calls for a banquet. Buying a new house warrants a banquet. And even purchasing a new car may lead to one. With such frequent social obligations, is it truly necessary? Many villagers work outside the countryside and earn only 30,000 to 50,000 renminbi a year, yet they spend tens of thousands on gift money. This high frequency and high expenditure of social obligations undoubtedly bring significant financial pressure to many. So, what is the original intention behind the frequent banquets in rural China? Is it an opportunity to earn gift money through hosting, or is it an invisible form of competition and showing off? In fact, most rural folks are quite simple and honest. Hosting banquets is not about making money. They value reciprocity, aiming to recoup the gift money they've given out through their own banquets. In other words, the purpose of hosting banquets is to break even, not to profit. This explains why the names of gift givers are written on the envelopes and why the hosts meticulously record the amount of money each guest gives. In rural areas, gift-giving culture carries an unspoken rule. Money given out must be reciprocated, and those who receive gift money are obligated to return the favor. This give-and-take reciprocity forms the essence of rural gift-giving culture. However, the competitive mindset in rural areas also plays a key role in the increasing number of banquets. For example, if Zhang San's family hosted 20 tables for their daughter's wedding, Li Si's family would feel the need to host 21 tables for their daughter's wedding to demonstrate they have more face. This competitive mentality extends to other areas. If someone hosts a banquet for buying a car, attendees might feel compelled to host their own banquet when they purchase a car. Is this phenomenon truly necessary? Everything requires moderation. Proper social interaction can strengthen relationships, but overly frequent banquets and competition over gift money distort the original intention, placing a heavy burden on villagers. This phenomenon will not last indefinitely, especially with the influence of the younger generation. Unlike those born in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, who value traditions and rituals, younger people are less enthusiastic about such formalities. For instance, many young people have gradually forgotten the customs of traditional holidays, such as the Double Ninth Festival. Even during the Mid-Autumn Festival, some young people would rather not return home to spend time with their parents, yet they actively participate in Western holidays like Christmas or Christmas Eve. As younger generations adopt new ideas, the heavy emphasis on social obligations in rural areas will gradually fade. Therefore, this change is inevitable. Balancing traditional culture with new ideas, rural China is continuously seeking equilibrium. Everything in moderation. The banquet culture, too, needs to return to a healthier and more reasonable state. What are your thoughts on the banquet culture in rural China? Feel free to share your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.